Feet, dusty, muddy, hardened and calloused from use. No bicycles, buses or cars in Jesus' first century Palestine home. Using his feet, bare naked, maybe sandaled, Jesus walked to where he needed to go. Jesus and his disciples used their feet, dusty, muddy, hardened and calloused from use, to walk all over Galilee and Samaria. Feet bare naked, maybe sandaled, exposed to the physical conditions, Jesus and his disciples used their feet to walk where they needed to go. Our hands today are naked to all that we touch, pick up, use, handle and throw away. They are exposed. We wash our hands before cooking or eating. Jesus and his disciples would not expose a home to the dust of the streets of Galilee, and so their first act before sitting down to eat would be to wash all the muck of the journey from their feet. Either they themselves would wash their feet, or a servant. Yet this evening on Holy Thursday, Jesus, host and celebrant at his Last Supper with his disciples, took off his outer robe and knelt and washed the disciples' feet. Jesus, their host. In Jesus' time, it is against all Abbey's rules of propriety for the host to take on this role of the servant. And yet this is what Jesus, their host here in this upper room, does. What more profound way of opening up his heart to his disciples could there be than laying aside his outer robe, symbolic of how on the morrow he would lay aside his life on the cross, tying a towel around his waist, and kneeling and washing their feet, dusty, muddy, hardened and calloused from life's journeys. And as we hear, this shocks his guests. Servants wash feet, but for the host to do so, for the host to become the servant, keeping everything conventional, keeping everything, quotes, nice and in its proper place, is more important here in first century Palestine than showing the deep commitment that is involved in actually holding and washing the feet of one's guests. Peter, representing all the disciples, strongly protests. Jesus responds, "Unless I wash you, you have no share of me." Through the symbolism of washing their feet, being their host who acts as their servant, Jesus invites the disciples, he invites us into the profound love that he shares with his Father. Loving in the deepest sense can be messy. It can be uncomfortable. Indeed, it can take us beyond the conventional boundaries described on those ever so nice Hallmark cards. Yet love that will not or cannot go this extra mile is not an awful lot of use. If Jesus had not been prepared to defy the conventions of the day, to lay aside his outer robe and kneel and wash his disciples' feet, as on the morrow he would lay aside his life on the cross, which is reserved for common criminals, if he had not been prepared to take this deeply painful and invasive step on our behalf, we would never have received the gift of saving life through him. What Jesus looks for is our total acceptance of what can be the uncomfortable deep love that he and his Father offer us. Yes, to allow him to wash our smelly, dusty feet covered in the muck we bring in from the journey, life's journey. Only as we allow him to take off his outer robe and wash those smelly, mucky feet, feet exposed to all that we have met on our journey. Only then are we deeply ready to join Jesus in washing the feet of others. Amen.